Hi. Hello, Sisters
Hi,
in Thread. How are we this morning?
we
We
are
are
good.
we are fabulous, darling.
Wonderful, wonderful. So excited to get the team back together so we can recap for the people our Project G Street experience. I think this might be Project G Street's, I believe, 11th year, if I'm not mistaken. I think last
Really?
year was their, yeah, they
That's
had.
what I thought I heard Maureen say.
Mhm. And yeah, I had the same response. I had the same response, Auset. I was like, how have you been doing this all those years and I've never known about it?
Right,
Um,
right.
so very, very excited. Do you want to go around and introduce ourselves, introduce the team?
Sure. Hi everyone. I am Auset, known as House of Audacity 1961 on Instagram and here, YouTube. And I've been sewing for a long time. And we all know that sewing and buying fabrics are two separate hobbies. As you know, I love both those hobbies.
I'm Tishana, known as Tishushu on Instagram, and Blue Fairy on YouTube, even though I don't have an active channel. I have been sewing actively for 5 years, and I've had a machine for a long time, but never really did anything. And I agree with us that buying fabric is a completely different hobby.
And I'm Fatmata. I'm Tima Made here on YouTube and on Instagram. And I've been sewing, I think, over 15 years. I've known how to sew. It's been on and off in between that time. But yeah, when we learned about Project G Street, I learned about it this year going into G Street Fabrics. So they're a fabric store, family owned in Rockville, Maryland. And I love them. If you've been on my channel at all, you know that I love that store. They have what used to be a $2.97 section, now $3.97, but it's,
Mhm.
I think also you de coined it, Aladdin's Cave.
Yes,
You say that
Aladdin's
one? Yeah.
Cave. Yeah.
Yeah, treasures, a fabric because they're receiving dead stocks. So they sponsor this event, is the way that I guess I would put it,
Mhm.
because Maureen and Kit, the two individuals who sort of ran it, are not employed by G Street, but it is hosted at the Montgomery County Fair, which is an amazing event for the whole family. It was
Mhm.
really nice to kind of stroll around after the program. But on the Saturday, they actually host a 9-hour sewing competition. So we began at 8:30 a.m. and we were allowed to sew until 5:30 p.m. So full working day. Teams were able to come as teams of two or three, and they told us what the theme was the week before. So this year, drum roll, the theme was from costume to couture. I would love to hear you all's thoughts, like when we heard what the theme was, what were your immediate like thoughts?
For me, my default is always when I hear costume, always going to be Black Panther. Always. There's just so much there to be inspired by. Like I'm going to bring some sort of element, and then of course, you can see it's got to involve Ankara and or cowrie shells. Like those are my two things that I start there, and then couture, it's techniques and things that are just over the top and out of the box. And so that was where my thinking went.
I had no idea. I was thinking, I don't know, because before she said what it was, she was like, "Oh yeah, we were watching Project Runway and they were doing Disney," and I was like, "Disney to couture," but I hadn't watched the Project Runway situation yet, so I didn't know what to expect at all. I was trying to think, and it just was not coming to me. I was thinking Minions from Despicable Me, like like how would we make that into couture? I was just my mind was I have a Disney adult in my life, and that's where my mind went.
Okay.
I think, Offset, when you said Black Panther and we had sort of settled on doing a queen,
Mhm.
I was super excited. And I think it was right after we discovered what the theme was, we got back on a call later that evening. And I think we immediately were like, this
Yes,
is the plan.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think the ideas started coming quick, fast, in a hurry. It was like a waterfall,
Yeah.
Hmm.
boom, 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 boom.
I
Like,
definitely think we got a great theme. Last year's theme was the Olympics, which
mhm.
is very different. Even folks who were there who had done a couple of years of this competition were like, "Oh, this we were really excited about this year's theme." So that was exciting. And then came fabric selection. So just a little bit about how the fabric sort of came to be. Each team was allowed to get 10 yards of fabric from that dead stock room at G Street Fabrics, the $3.97 room. And that room is sort of like hit or miss. It just depends on what they have available that week, what the shipment is. And Kit and Maureen, the organizers, had said that they had seen a lot of knits there and were sort of preemptively letting us know, choose your fabric accordingly.
Really, right.
Anyone want to share sort of how our fabric selection sort of came to be?
Well,
We dove in.
I got there right, exactly, dove in. So when I got there first out of the trio, and anything that caught my eye, anything that was sparkly, I was starting from that level. Sparkly, something, I don't care, shiny, I'm a magpie. I was going in for all of that. And then color came much later, but it was just all I know is that people were actually peeping their head in as I was going through everything like this. And they're like, we're going to leave that room. We're going to leave that alone for a minute, So for a while there, I didn't have anybody in there with me. I was just going through all the shelves, just pulling everything out and piling it on top of the table. So yeah.
People thought you worked there. People were like,
Yes, I think that was part of it too, because I was pulling and then folding and sorting and all of that stuff, and then watching then some people started to come in, and then I was watching what they were pulling out as well. And it's like, mm,
yeah, I think Auset set the tone, like with how you like had started organizing stuff, and then Fatmata and I went dove into the rest and sort of started pulling stuff out. But you were pulling out certain colors that were just kind of like making sense and textures, and I think that that helped us ultimately agree on what we settled on.
yes,
Yeah. I feel like after that initial gathering stage, it was the moment that we decided that the print, so the print right here
Yeah.
on
right.
that printed sort of red fabric, I feel like we agreed on that. And then we are like, okay, everything that's in this pile now that agrees with this fabric, let's see. So then
Hmm.
the more structured sort of Mikado red, fabric, that's the main body. Then
Hmm.
there was this gorgeous brown, sort of almost gabardine-like fabric that
Right.
we're like, it's structured, kind of goes with the print, might be good for lining, and a really beautiful red, sort of silky type fabric.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Now, the white that is in the hat
Yeah,
and the cape, yeah, that you have there all set.
right.
Yeah, I feel like,
So in the hat, yeah, in
yeah,
the portion of the cape,
yep,
Hmm.
the epaulets
The
there,
epaulets of the cape.
that was part of our 10-yard
mhm,
allotment,
Hmm.
right?
It
And it
wasn't a
was
lot.
no, it was not. May have been maybe a yard.
yeah.
And it was a cotton, like a brocaded or metallic cotton. And it's just what were we going to do with it initially? We were going to do
We
the
didn't know.
cuffs.
Yeah,
We
something. I
really
think it
didn't
was just
know.
the cuffs.
Yeah, right. We didn't know. And then we were also given a $25 gift card or voucher to buy anything else that we may need. And so we splurged and got this drapery fabric, which
The
is
upholstery
here,
fabric. Yeah,
right? Um,
it looks so good right there. Like it's so
it
shiny.
does. You know what I mean? Like we wanted something that had that drama and that drapeability and that was cohesive. And yes, this is intentional. It's supposed to hang like that.
I know I was very excited to volunteer to model for us. And I only mentioned that at this stage because I think it did then sort of play into, I think, a little bit of the design.
Mhm.
However, also, I feel like you already came into G Street with patterns. You were like, oh,
Yes,
if
Yo, yeah, you did. You had them in
I
your
did.
bag.
had them
I
in
did.
there.
So yes, I did arrive with several patterns and I had an idea. And after after we had the big G Street meeting, we stayed on and I just had a vision in my mind and it was this pattern. There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it was that right
Hmm.
there. when I look at it, it reminds me of like body armor, right? It's like architecturally structured, it's pleated, and then that's when we got into the process of, okay, how are we gonna make this happen? How, right? And then that's when I think maybe the work began. This might have been the toughest part because we were able to Fatmata took it over in that sense and created the muslin.
Oh
Fatmata, we
yeah.
already it was general consensus that Fatmata was going to be the model. And we knew number one, we were playing with a particular time frame, um, materials. Oh, and by the way, this was the first time that we had ever sewn together. It was the
Hmm.
first time that the three of us had actually even met together. So everything that we had, and we didn't even have a lot of we didn't have a lot of phone conversations. We had one other Zoom meeting after that.
Yep, we had
Uh,
the Zoom meeting right after the call, initial call
right.
for the
We
whole
had
thing, and then
that.
we had the Zoom call the day before.
Right, right. Day before, but we had some text chats like that going back and forth. And I don't know, it was serendipity. It was, the universe conspiring, working. Everything just went so smoothly. Like I would have an idea and throw it in the feed, and Fatmata would pick it up, and then Tishana would come in and break it down. And I made the drop off for muslins, fabric, right? You know what I mean? Like it was just
Hmm.
everything was just humming along. Um, when Fatmata reached out to me, I saw that message. I didn't even hesitate to say yes. But after I had said yes, I sent a message to a group of friends of mine. I'm like, um, I was asked to participate in this thing, and I said yes. And I put like, what was I thinking face? Like, oh boy, and it is very, very rare when I back out of something. And I just felt like, you know what? It's Fatmata. Like, you guys, Fatmata is Fatmata. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm going to participate in this. And so, yeah.
And Auset, I just want to say we were thrilled when you said yes. So, you know, I, I love that you were down from the beginning. Tashana and I were like, we're going for it. We're going for the ask.
I know Famada was like, I'm gonna ask Auset, and I was like, oh, Auset.
Yeah, we're like dream team
Yeah.
assembled. So we're so thrilled.
So the design concept, I still have it here,
The
Fatmata.
pieces.
I do have the pieces, all of it
Yeah,
here.
I might have to pick up those the fitted pieces because I mean this design I
The
need
Yeah.
fit was so perfect.
a closet. Like I have to. I
Yeah.
need this.
You need that, right? I mean, here's the line drawing. So it was that part there. And then I knew that I wanted it to stop there.
Hmm.
So this outfit, this ensemble consisted of, I guess you could say, the tunic, and then there's an underskirt. How many yards did we put into that
And
the
to the
sleeve and the
skirt,
underskirt? Yeah.
The skirt, the bottom of it is it's 180 inches, what
Yeah.
or so yards wide
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
horse
all of
hair braid.
that.
Yeah.
And
I
and I had the audacity to talk about, oh yes, I'm going to hand him.
listen, we had high hopes.
We
we
did.
did.
We
We thought
did.
we had all the time in the world.
Exactly, exactly.
As far as like the patterns that we use, so I do want to sort of like break it down because I think
Right,
I got so many questions about the hat because, in thinking about accessories, I do think that's an area where we as maybe home sewists don't always think, but
right.
that was a pattern that you had in your,
Yes,
Hmm.
yeah.
yes,
So we got a
yes.
lot of questions about that.
It's
Uh,
so funny too because I had been looking for patterns like that. I was looking for the Essence collections and all of those different patterns a couple of months ago because I was like, oh, I missed those My grandmother used to sew those patterns, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can find them because she doesn't have them anymore. And I had been looking them up, so I was really glad to see that Osset had some of those really nice patterns.
So I've been collecting patterns since the 70s. Okay. that tells you how many patterns I have. And yes, I've given away a lot, but there's some patterns that I will just hold on to.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is one of them.
Yeah, that is so beautiful.
That, I mean, you're not going to see this again, right?
Mm-mm.
I mean, it'd be nice if they reissued this. Well, anyway, well, that's another conversation. But yeah. So as soon as we agreed on our archetype, Queen, Queen has to have a crown, right? And who but our mascot, Queen Ramonda, has her
Right.
own right? Has a crown. And that's actually very similar to this. So, um, like the three of us just bought my vision. I'm going to tell you, in a way, I was selfish about bringing my vision because what I had it in my mind, and then everybody just, you guys just work to like, yes, we see the vision, we see it. You know, we can make this happen. And Fatmata, you had the idea about the big sleeves, huge billowing sleeves. You guys, you should have
Mhm.
seen the mock-up. It was, you could put a small child in those sleeves.
You could.
Oh my
And it was made of cotton, so it was like much stiffer and like,
Exactly, exactly. You know what I mean? When we, yeah,
The hat pattern is a butterick one, and then
yeah.
you had the indie pattern. Could you talk a little bit about
oh
Right.
yeah, the I bought.
So
that butterick?
this, I was just searching around. I knew I didn't want a cape per se, and I didn't want a cloak, but I wanted the idea of a drape for that drama. And I was just searching around, and I know on Etsy, you know, if you go in for like cosplay or Dungeons and Dragons and all of that stuff, I wanted
Mm.
something to just be bodaciously just out there. And I got this pattern. Now I made this, so this is made from that fabric, that little piece of fabric that we had.
Mhm.
And what she has 4 or 5 pieces of interfacing, deco type interfacing, very stiff, thick interfacing ironed on into there to the point where it actually looks like leather. And then I handed it off to Tishana and she molded it on the shoulders of the mannequin that we had there with steam and held it in place to actually get that rounded shape. So, you know, collaboratively, we were able to bring together some ideas without even a blip. Like there was
Yeah.
no
It was like, let's do it.
exactly. I think the only thing that we actually really spent a minute on was which way we wanted to. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
you're looking
which
at the
way?
picture behind you, Fatmata. I'm getting ready to turn around like I have it in front of me.
Oh yeah, which way we wanted the pattern to go.
Right, the border to go exactly on the
Oh
outfit.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
behind me too.
Yes, yes. So to see this garment in action, to see the movement of it, you know, I was of two minds. I'm like, yeah, yeah, because yeah, you know what I mean? And then I was in awe of like, oh my gosh, it actually came together, right? So what you guys are seeing, if you're looking at Fatmata's screen, the cuff is pinned to the bodice because they want us to keep the garments there. They put for display during the fair. But those buttons I made, they're made with cowrie shells. As I said, I was going to have a cowrie shell in there somewhere, and I made those buttons. Do we want to talk a little bit about the judging process?
The two judges came around, but they came around like later in our process. So it was like we had already been sewing for many hours before they started walking around.
Right.
And then by the time they got there, Fatmata took the wheel and was like, let me show you what we've been working on. And was like, yes, and we did this with the French seams and we did that. And they were like, French seams.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was still working on the bodice, like talking to one of the judges about the bodice, and then the other one tapped her and was like, "They got French seams in here."
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was Dr. Cha-Cha.
I want to talk about how the French seams came to be because I will tell
Yes.
you in a timed, what, 9 hour challenge, I feel like we had about eight. to be honest.
Yes.
Like a 9 hour challenge, my mind would not go to French seams. And I remember the moment that we decided, right? I looked over, remember, I was like, so are we doing French seams? And you just sort of looked at me. You gave me a second to think. And then I was like, well, they did say that in the judging, the construction and
They might look at the inside.
20 points. And I was like, fine, I guess I could do French seams. And you were like, okay. It was so beautiful. You just allowed me to come to that decision on my own. And I remember we talked about that a little bit. And,
Right.
if we have time, I wish you could share. You were like, I've learned patience. I know that you
Yes, exactly. Yes, Fatmata came to me again because I had initially brought up, okay, we got to do French seams, right? Um, I long time ago I did things like this, but I know on this level, like things that you can do. When they say couture, couture means French seams. It means hand sewing. It means fine finishing. All of those
Mhm.
things. So you're not breaking out your serger. You know what I mean? You're not. They're looking for certain things. So I had mentioned, yes, we need to do front seams. Like whatever they can see needs to be front seamed. What they're not going to look at, don't worry about that. But whatever they're going to look at, well, lo and behold. So at the competition, Fatmata comes to me and she was like, "Oh, are we doing front seams?" And I just paused and looked at her like, "I'm going to give you a minute, my
To get
darling,
there. Get
to
there.
process what you just said. I'm not going to respond." And I just looked at her. And then it finally clicked. And she said, okay, I guess I'm doing French seams. And I'm like, yes, there you go. Right? And I said, for me, I have learned patience, right? There might have been a time when I might have been maybe overexcited about it, or blah, 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 like, all of that. And I wasn't. I was just for something I want to say about the energy of the whole competition. I didn't feel like it was a competition. I felt like it was a bunch of sewers who love what they're doing, coming together, just enjoying several hours of creating. Like
Yeah, it felt like a big sew along.
it really did. You know what I mean? Like I felt like we were all working collectively. I didn't feel that pressure of a competition until the announcement came in that said it's 3:30 or
2
2:30.
hours left.
Two
The two
hours
hours
left.
2 hours
left.
left.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
We
what
were
do you
like,
mean? Exactly. Like, oh,
and I'm pressing. I'm like, okay, okay.
hours. You might think like, oh my goodness, 2 hours is a long time. But then when she came in an hour later and said 1 hour, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm still back at
That felt like 10
2:30.
minutes. It felt like
It
she
really
said
did.
2 hours
It
and then
really
she said an
did.
hour in 10 minutes. Like it
Yes,
didn't feel like a whole hour.
right. And I think at maybe 10 minutes to the 5:30, that's when I started to stitch in the hem. There was no way it was going to be hand stitched, but I had maybe 15 minutes before that. The skirt was handed off to me.
Oh
And
yeah, you were like, this isn't gonna happen.
no, I put the horsehair braid in. And then I started to turn it over and do the hem, but there was still something else that needed to be done.
Mhm.
What was it? I don't know. It was either like putting together the cape or whatever. And I remember I handed the finishing of the hem over to Shauna. And this is what I'm saying. Like everybody just handed off what needed to be handed off. There was no question like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. No, no, no. We had what? Two machines, two sergers, three
Mhm.
irons, one I had down on the floor by the sewing machine.
You did.
Um,
You were on the floor. The
I was
very
on the
clean
floor.
floor.
Very clean floor. Fatmata had a pressing cloth on the table, and then we had another table that I had brought and set up that was a cutting table. We just had we brought everything,
Mhm.
um, except for the kitchen sink and a mirror.
Oh yeah. Forgot the mirror.
And
Oh
nobody
boy.
else had a mirror either. You know what
No,
I mean?
nobody did.
But
Yeah,
to be honest,
it
I
wasn't
never,
needed.
the whole time we were sewing, I didn't try this garment on until it was time to walk out.
Yes,
Right.
exactly, exactly.
Literally, we were finishing it until the final
Oh
bit.
my God.
So the
Yeah,
only thing that
Sewing
I
on buttons.
was the skirt because I finished that within the first maybe hour and a half, right? And that
right.
Hmm.
hung up there.
Yes,
The actual dress,
yes.
I was like, as I was putting in the invisible zip in those what, last 10
Right.
Last 10 minutes.
hemming it, and I was like, I hope this fits. And we had talked a little bit about the twirling process, and I did. So Auset gave like the greatest goodie bag, like dropped off so many amazing things to, my house. So I was able to start twirling, like brought cotton fabric so I can twirl it. I had cut out my size, right? Like traced it out, cut out my size. And I was able to, in those text threads, like send photos. Here's what it's looking like at the initial stage. Maybe I want to nip in the bodice a little bit more, figuring out how we wanted the peplum portion of that to go and what's the length that we want to do. But some of those edits and details, even after I had fitted the bodice section, were sort of like, okay, I think I'm going to chop off a little bit here, but I hadn't then made a final twirl. It's sort of like when you're training for a marathon. They always say, like,
Right.
you're not going to actually run the full 36 or whatever miles, right? You just do enough to let you know I got this a little bit. So there
Right.
were some things that, of course, I hadn't really seen, and all I could think was, I really hope this fits when I the weight of this fabric was so much denser. This one was now lined, so it was
Mhm.
just wonderful. It felt so amazing when we were in the changing room, like zipping it up, and I
Yes.
was like, wow, this fits. And
I mean,
immediately it felt amazing. It felt
it
so.
it fit like I would say armor should fit,
Mhm.
right? As a queen, you want to be protected. And so even the way you were carrying yourself, you know what I mean? I felt like the dress held you in and supported you without boning, without corsetry, without all of those
Mhm.
things, you know what I mean? And I think when I tied on the crown, it was like,
Wow, yeah, yeah.
oh,
Felt like
Meanwhile, I was in the hallway praying. I was like, I hope this works out. I hope this works out. Please let her come out and it stays. Oh my
it
goodness.
was. I zipped up because what? It was the last 10 minutes you put that invisible zipper in.
Yes.
And then there was the business of the
Him,
hemming
yes.
peplum portion. So I thought to myself, okay, I got the invisible zip in. Maybe I had what, three or I don't know how many more minutes left to go,
Not much.
5 or so minutes. And I was like, flip it over, and what we're gonna do is put some trim on it. And it like picked up the trim that's in the hat so beautifully, and
Yeah.
it wasn't our plan to do that initially, but really really glad that we were able to tie it in and it worked out really well.
Yes.
So just a matter of like making it work. I know we often see or might watch, whether it's the sewing bee, whether it's Project Runway, some of these sewing competitions, and as a viewer, we might have all of our thoughts about like what, like the way they're scrambling in the last bits. Listen,
But
I have
to be in it,
newfound appreciation.
you surely did. You really did. Because it does seem, 8 hours does seem like a long time to do something. And as you said, you can twirl, right? But that still does not guarantee that the final product is going to be what it's going to be. And that doesn't mean, then you also have to think about, we had a little issue with one of the sergers. Small issue, but it could have been enough to throw the game off. You know what I mean? One of the other things that I appreciate us having is the serger set up with the
The two
threads,
different threads.
the
Yeah.
two different threads, so we didn't have to change threads, and then the two machines going. So when I was putting it together, the crown, the pattern has you put right side to right side, stitch it around, and flip it inside out, and put boning in there. And again, I deferred back to that home decor interfacing. I think there's about 3 layers in that crown to make it stand up, and I just put wrong side to wrong side and stitched serged it all the way around. Like I just serged it all the way around and then put the trimming on, which is at the bottom of the peplum. That's trim that you got, Fatmata, from Guinea, and it actually folds in half. So it's able to like sandwich around. I mean, we had a plan. We had plans, right? We had an order of operations. I'm glad that we had a plan, but we also knew that we had to be flexible about things.
Mhm.
I
We all brought our whole houses to the event. I brought my machine and my serger. You brought your serger, right, Fatmata? And Auset brought her heavy duty singer.
Yes. I want to thank So Carol. She's over, we'll probably link her channel for this idea.
Oh yeah.
Okay. This, guys, is the best thing ever. because I had it packed, and I remember, I think Fatmata would reach over and just pull out a needle. Like they're all sorted,
Hmm.
whatever you want is all there. Um,
I need to do that.
I can't even imagine how, because I know how to keep my needles at home. They're problematic. This was such a great idea. So you guys, you know what I mean? Tape measures. Um, we had everything. We
Hmm.
had two small,
Pins, clips,
yeah, pins, clips. We had two small rotary mats, right? Because a rotary mat, we
because
didn't
I
have a
forgot
big
my
one.
cutting mat.
Right, the cutting mat. So we worked with what we had, you know. Um, I had a pair of, well, no. I had something that I needed to cut out. And you know, we don't use fabric scissors without paper. And I'm standing there like, oh my gosh, I don't have my ugly scissors with me. What am I gonna do? And I had bought a rotary cutter from the dollar store maybe the day before, and I just threw it in my bag of things to take with me. So I had that rotary cutter there, brand new, straight out of the package that I used to cut out the paper. So, you know, it was, I'm telling you guys, it was so much fun. What other questions do you have for us, Fatmata?
Going back to the horsehair braid. I love it. Why I feel like that was important for us to have that in at the bottom of the skirt.
Yeah, it
Well,
gave it that extra kick and structure.
exactly, exactly. It gives you that extra kick. It just had, so you don't, when you're walking, you don't notice it, but maybe you do. When you're walking with a very long skirt, a lot of times, the skirt will go between your feet,
Hmm.
between your legs and such like that. And horsehair braid allows it to float around you. So when you see people, you know, like they're doing the waltz or they're wearing these gowns that have a little bit of loft on it, it's not because they have a petticoat underneath it. It's because they have horsehair braid in it to create that loft. So as you're walking, it looks like you're walking on clouds because the skirt is just bouncing like that. And I just knew for this idea that we had in mind, we were going to put horsehair braid in it. And I use 3-inch width.
It was very interesting sewing with it too. I'd never sewn with it before. And
Mhm.
I already had it set up and she was like, just follow this. And I was like trying to stay under. I think I messed it up one good time, but I guess you don't see it, so it doesn't
You know,
matter. But I
yeah,
just kept going. It was so smooth. I'd never worked with horsehair braid before, but
yeah,
I took the wheel.
yeah. See? Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I would love to hear everyone's advice. If anyone out there is thinking of joining like a sewing competition like the style that we did, if they have ones at maybe a local fair next to them or, you know, anything like that, or even working as part of a team, if we want to expand that a little bit, like a sewing team. Maybe you're coming together for someone's, you know, dress for like a wedding dress and it's a team of you, or, you know, any advice that you would give on that
I
front.
would say having the list of things to bring was very helpful, even though I still ended up leaving two things. Having that list and like, because this is my sewing space behind me, you can't see it. It was like just getting everything and putting it in my little crate and just having that list to get there was great. And also just being open to learning a new technique because I had never molded those things before. I just kind of did it. I just pinned it to the mannequin and steamed it. So being open to learning something new.
My advice, so you guys in the photos, I made that outfit. I didn't go to bed, put it to you that way. So I had been awake since Thursday. And I was adamant about wanting something new to wear to the competition because, you know, I'm extra like that. My advice would be don't do that because I was running on fumes, like I was running on adrenaline, right? And I'm going to say prior to that, self-care is important. Um, I didn't hydrate my skin, all that. So I just sipped water while I was there. But driving home after it was all done, I did a lot of praying to make it home safely because I just wanted to crash when I was done. My other piece of advice is when you're asked, don't deliberate. Just say yes. Just say yes because the person I lucked out that a very beautiful human being saw me and felt me worthy to join their team and asked me. I was like, And many of us do watch Project Runway, and subconsciously, why do we watch it? Because there's a little part of us that say, I would like to be that. I would like to do that. I'd like to participate in that. And then when the opportunity presents itself, don't deliberate on it. Just say yes. Just say yes and bring what you got. Bring what you know. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Everything. Keep yourself wide open and stay flexible because the dynamic will change. It will change. Yeah.
I think practicing beforehand to an extent is amazing. Like the only reason
Hmm.
we got away with not trying that on and, going back and forth is because we knew
Hmm.
it was going to fit, right? Um, and also you build one muscle memory of this is the construction, but also you might be able to figure out construction techniques that either the pattern didn't use that you're like, I'm going to do this differently, or because of the fabric I'm using, here's how I'm going to change maybe the order of how this is coming together, right, with the edits that we made. So if you can toile beforehand in whatever competition setting you're in, I would definitely advise it to an extent. So definitely take advantage of that. And then also, I think understanding that hopefully you luck out and get an amazing team like we did. I would say that, but also I would say leave ego at the door, and that I think does go in line with the being open to learning something new.
Yes.
And also like owning whichever role you're in. I know we had talked about this offline a little bit, Tishana, but I was just saying like kudos to you. Literally, what kept our engines moving
Yes.
was the fact that we had someone who um I don't even know how you described it to Shauna. I don't know if you want to describe, but like,
I was cutting, I was ironing, I was pressing, I was doing whatever. And look, even that, like working with Auset and her patience. Thank you, Auset, for your patience. Because when I like jacked up the piece, I was like, Auset's gonna be mad at me. And she
No,
was like, we don't have time for that. Let's
exactly.
just keep going. Just keep
Right.
going. And I
Exactly.
was like, okay. But yeah, I was cutting, I
Mhm.
was pressing, I was interfacing. We were doing all the things.
yeah.
All the things. I was a support cast.
Yes.
But I feel like I don't know if that role gets enough shine.
Mm.
Right.
Support. But when we think, and as home sewists, I think each of us has, laughed about this idea that majority of sewing, if not 80% of it, is not
Is
actually
prep.
sewing,
Right.
right?
Right.
It is the
Exactly.
prep.
It's the cutting, it's the pinning together, it's the pressing,
Yes.
all of it.
Yes.
And to make four different pieces
Hmm.
in 8 hours of time, that doesn't happen just
No.
by
No.
happenstance,
Mm-mm.
right? So
No.
yes, we were like putting the pieces together, but if the sleeves weren't ready to be sewn when I was done constructing skirt, but like you helped us as a team stay like it's ready when it's there. If we were
Yes.
like,
Stay
okay,
on task. Exactly.
right, like
You know what I
it
mean?
just kept
Pressing and interfacing in the crown when I needed more of it. You took that, I mean, I handed it off to you so I can work on something else.
Hmm.
And that's true. It's vitally important. Most of us, like you said, sewing is 80 to 90% of preparing. You spend very little time at the machine. And I teach people how to sew and they want to sit at that machine. And I'm
They
like,
do.
no, honey, your best friends in this journey going to be the seam ripper and the iron.
Yep. That's exactly.
The iron, can I use a steamer? What?
No, you need to press them. You need to press the
No, you
seams.
won't know, honey. Get familiar with that iron. You know what I mean? And then sewing, as long as your machines are operating fine and you have the right needles in it, that's a piece of cake. But it did take time to put all of the components together, and as you said, you and I, we weren't sewing at the same time, and yet we were sewing at the same time. And the surgery was being run at one time, and then the machine, and then someone was like, I didn't feel, I didn't trip over anybody.
Right. We had the table set up perfectly. We weren't
Exactly.
tripping over
Wait,
anybody.
didn't trip over anybody. It was like, oh, excuse me, I'm in the way. Like I didn't feel that. Like I could move around and all of that. So we were also working within a confined space with a group of other people around us. Um, I didn't even know that I was being photographed. I didn't know I was being filmed. So when I get into the zone, like the building could be coming down around me and I wouldn't know. And it wasn't until afterwards when the photographer said, like, oh, yeah, I was filming you and taking photos. I'm like, when did all that happen? You should touch on this. That he was standing there, and I'm like, oh my God. That's pretty much the only time that you will catch me off guard.
Now we know.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So,
It was definitely a vibe. I would say some of my favorite parts were jamming. I think one of the
To
team
the music.
music going was incredible. And I
yes.
like it just helped.
Yes, it was. It was.
You
It
were
had that.
feeling it.
Yes.
The music had to go off at a part of the day. And I was like, I
Aw.
know how much I should be sewing with music. Like in my at home. I was like,
Right.
that felt so nice. But anyways, the vibes in the room were really great. I think you had mentioned that earlier. I think one thing that I would have liked is if we all went around the room sort of at one of the earlier stages in the day, maybe even at like halftime, just
Right.
to like say
Oh,
hi.
introduce the teams. Yeah.
I felt like it was sort of maybe you chuckled with the team that was right behind you or
I
beside
did.
you, but
Yeah.
otherwise, I didn't really get to engage or interact because you're so focused on what you and your team are
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
I
Um,
took a minute. I took a minute and I went to look at everybody's machines because I was like so intrigued on everybody's machines
Yes.
because my legs were cramping. I was like, let me go walk around and I was looking at all the older machines. There were so many nice
Yes.
vintage
Yes.
machines.
Yes.
Somebody had a featherweight there, a featherweight singer. Somebody had a brand I'd never even heard of before called
Yeah, I
High or
saw a
something
couple of
like that.
Vikings there,
Yeah.
Genomi's there. The woman beside us, was that a featherweight that she had? All I can
No.
say, that machine, no, it wasn't. That machine that was beside us on the other side there, that
Hmm.
machine purred. Like every time she ran, you didn't hear it.
Mm-mm.
It purred. It was a beautiful piece of equipment that she worked on. So yes, from afar, I was very intrigued by all the different machines that were
Hmm.
there. Number one. And I'm talking from the baby machines to the oldest machines, some bigger,
Hmm.
the biggest machines. I saw some embroidery machines
I
there.
saw an embroidery machine. My goodness.
And kudos to every person who traveled because with these machines, because these machines are heavy. Okay. Like I need I need a butler or somebody to carry.
Oh, listen, when I got there, Fatmata just picked up my crate and walked in. I was like, whoa, 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 let me do that. I had two
My
machines.
machine, so I have that, I think it's a 6800, it's a computerized heavy duty, which is,
Hmm. A lovely machine. I
it
loved
really
working on
is.
it.
That one, oh my gosh, yes. That is that, yes, yes. And I'm glad that I brought her for the excursion. Yes.
so runway time. It
Yeah.
was fabulous to finally see the garments together. One of the things that I wanted to mention too, like in that group setting, it was interesting that up until maybe 2 hours left to go, I couldn't have picked out what everyone was making.
Yeah,
Like
no.
sewing is one of those things where the pieces can sometimes come together at the very
Right.
end, where I
Right.
was, like we're in an open room. There's no partitions. And I could not have guessed what everyone was making, except for the team beside us, because they had this really beautiful sculptural sort of.
Oh, yeah, the flower.
But
Right.
outside of that, I'm looking around. I was like, okay, I think I see a skirt. I think someone's making a dress. But when we were all standing at the runway, I was like, oh, this is what everyone, like, so that was so cool to kind of get the reveal, even as a
I'm
team.
trying to see the flower right there in the middle.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
So that's the beautiful group. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
this is everybody. Oops, my chair. Everybody.
That's amazing. I mean, the craftsmanship and all the teams and all of the different sewing levels. You saw people who were sewing with their children,
Hmm.
people who had been longtime friends, people, our team who like friends in the
Just
past
met.
a little bit and had never sewn together. So just
And
all
there was a dog.
abilities. There was a pup, well behaved, mind you. Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
didn't bark once.
but such a great experience. And I think, at least from my take on the runway, I remember just wanting to capture the essence that I feel like we wanted as a team if our person was a queen, like that regalness. I did joke with my best friend. I was like, "Oh, I feel like I should have smiled more on the runway." But I was so busy. I was like, I want to like capture sort of the feeling of a queen, and I was like, I don't know how often they like like full face grin, but I was grinning on the inside. I was like, "We did it!" But I was like, "Okay, let's keep it." To me, it was really nice, but I wanted to have a powerful presence and command, I think, on the runway. And yeah, I'm really glad. I'll hope to include some of that footage as well. But it was so much fun to do the catwalk, so much fun. And I'm really proud. And it was a fabulous piece, right, that I got to put on. But I really wanted to sort of, for our team, sort of represent what it is that we had set out to represent and show the garments as fabulously as I could. So I was
Yeah.
excited
You
to.
did that.
Yes, you did. You did that. My mind is already on next year, and I don't even know what the theme is, right? Like
Look, I'm in. Next year, I'm
I'm
in.
like
We don't
next
know what we're gonna get, but
I
I'm
don't even
in.
know. Yes, right. You know.
I definitely want to say a huge thank you to the team over at the Montgomery County Fair who put this on, Kit and Maureen. It was
Yeah.
awesome
Hmm.
to one have been accepted. I remember emailing them, the whole time they were super responsive. The two judges who came out and gave of their
Hmm.
time.
Yeah.
I know we wanted to give a shout out because one of the judges just released a pattern, he said.
Dr.
Dr. Cha
Chacha.
Cha. On her website, it is chachancole.com, and on YouTube, her page is The Social Cafe,
Yeah, the Social
SEWCIAL
Cafe.
Cafe.
Yeah, and she's on Instagram as well. We'll put all the links down in the bottom where you can find her. And yeah, she did just dropped a pattern that you can actually see a preview of on Natita's channel.
Yes, So Natural Dane's channel.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like, we had free food, like that big, huge wok.
Okay,
Somebody
see,
made chicken
yeah.
stir fry. It
Hmm.
was good. And the
Yeah,
desserts.
right. So I didn't partake because that's a thing with me. When I'm sewing, even at home, I don't eat.
You were in the zone.
I was in the zone. When I'm in the zone, I don't eat, right? I don't eat and body functions shut down, all of that. When my son was young enough, he would be off doing his thing and I'm so early in the morning and then about in the afternoon, I guess when it'd be dinner time, he's like, Mom, you're still in your happy place? I'm like, yeah, I just started. He's like, no, Mom, you've been sewing all day. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've only been sewing for an hour. And then I would look at the clock and it'd be 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening. So, and it's like, oh, you know what? Oh, that's what that pain is. That's hunger. Yeah,
At one point when I said was like, have y'all gone to the bathroom?
exactly. I did that, right? Like, you know, just to make sure that everyone is still, okay, right? You still want to check in on some basic things and to realize like I know that we're working within a time construct, but taking care of yourself physically, like it's okay to take a rest. It's okay to walk. I know I did go outside and get some vitamin D because it was kind of chilly in the room.
Hmm.
I actually went outside twice. And I actually did eat because I brought some fruit with me. And it was
Yes.
just go outside and get that sun on my body, on my skin, and then feel re-energized. Because after a while, it just started to feel like I was being depleted. And I know,
Mm.
okay, we're not done yet, right? You can't lay down. There's like no nap time. You're the one that wanted to stay up all night before. You have to
Making
see
that
this through.
fabulous outfit.
Look, she came through like, oh yeah. So I'll come back and talk about it soon. But I'm really pretty proud, very, very proud because the finishing, everything is finished and all of that is done on it. So yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, it was a lovely experience. I can't recommend it enough, and I am happy that like all the things align to allow us to do this. I know I
Hmm.
wasn't going to be around that weekend, but moved flights, moved hotel
Yes, you
reservations, and I
did.
was like, nope, I am going to leave the very next day. So I did. I had a flight at 7 a.m. that Sunday following the competition, but I needed to do this for myself to allow myself the opportunity to try this out, having learned about it for the first time this year.
I
It's like I
agree.
can't let this opportunity pass, and
Right.
it all sort of came together. So yeah, kudos to us team. Like I was so proud of the work that
Yeah.
it's
It's
fun.
the
I was
feelings is
definitely rocking
inexplicable.
in real work
Yes,
world.
right?
Wear the dress and like I'm really
Yes, yes. Oh, and that's the beauty of this design. So it's not just for the runway,
No, it's
right?
like a
Because the
it's a dress.
components, how it's created, it can be taken to every day,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so I cannot wait to see Fatmata rock it how she does. Yes. I'm telling you, it was made for her. Like it was,
Exactly.
and that's couture. Couture is not ready to wear. Couture is made for a specific client or body or figure, whatever in mind. And it's only made for that person. So, you know, you can have 3 people who wear size 10. If it's a couture level garment, each of those size 10s, their garments will fit differently. They will not be able to interchange those garments. And that's the background that I come from.
Mm. I love that you brought that expertise. Well, I want to say a huge thank you and thank everyone for watching. I will leave everyone's socials down in the comments below as well. In the comments, in the description box below. So definitely go and follow everyone, whether on Instagram, here on YouTube. Auset and I have channels, and then over on Instagram, we're all over on Instagram. So hopefully we'll be able to post there. Um, but yeah, have a lovely, lovely day. Now, the final thing we need to do is pick a time to go and spend our
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we
yes,
gotta
our
spend our
winnings. Right,
winnings.
spend
exactly.
our winnings at GQ
Yes,
Fabric. So,
yes.
this
Yeah.
is my birthday month, so I am looking forward to spending that
Yeah.
I
soon.
don't even know what I want to get. I'm just like,
Yeah, the same thing with me.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll let the fabric speak to us.
Yeah,
yes,
well, like
as
we
as
did.
did our fabric for the event. Yes.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Have a
Okay.
lovely day, everyone.
Goodbye, everyone. It was
Bye.
A queen, she is well respected amongst her people, a compassionate queen. She spreads generosity to all, but do not mistake her for delicate, for she is also a warrior. She will protect and defend all in her care like Khaleesi before her. Our Queen is attending the United Nations General Assembly to represent her sovereign nation. Inspired by Queen General Kamonda of Wakanda, her crown peace tribute to Queen Mothers of South Africa. Her epaulettes speak to her fierceness, and the gentle drape of her cape commands attention. We honor her divine femininity in bold red color and structured bodice with bishop sleeves adorned with gold cowrie shells to represent wealth. The sweeping skirt is finished with horsehair braid. This process came together by the fabric the team found at Pitt Street, beginning with a printed silk. We used a combination of vintage vogue and baldric patterns, a self-drafted skirt, and an easy top.